the most violent characters in video games. Video games allow us to live epic adventures, but some characters go beyond, diving into chaos and destruction. Today, we're going to talk about the most violent of them. Kratos, God of War. First on the list is none other than the God of War himself, Kratos. He started his journey in God of War as a mere mortal, but quickly became an unstoppable force of destruction. What makes Kratos so violent? Simply the fact that he doesn't care about limits. His uncontrollable rage drives him to massacre not only his enemies but even the gods of Olympus. Kratos, an ancient Spartan warrior, was tricked by the gods and caused the death of his own family in a moment of madness brought on by Ares' betrayal. Since then, he swore vengeance against the gods and anyone who crossed his path. This cycle of violence and revenge shaped the character and turned him into one of the most feared figures in gaming mythology. Kratos is a master of hand-to-hand combat, wielding everything from twin blades to a magical axe that becomes an extension of his rage. He also possesses the power of blood orbs, which connect him with the gods and grant him supernatural abilities, such as superhuman strength and endurance. But what really makes him brutal is the way he uses these abilities, always with the intent to destroy without mercy. Kratos has destroyed mythical creatures, gods, and even titans throughout his journeys. In God of War 3, he kills Zeus, his own father, in an act of vengeance that leaves nothing standing. He's also responsible for the destruction of Olympus and various deities in the Greek pantheon, as well as decimating Norse mythology in God of War 2018. Trevor Phillips, GTA. Next, let's go to Urban Chaos. Trevor Phillips, one of the protagonists of Grand Theft Auto 5, is the archetype of a character who seeks total freedom, with no moral boundaries. There is nothing he won't do to get what he wants, and violence is a constant tool in his actions. Trevor started as a former soldier and drug dealer, but what defines him is his unpredictable and mentally unstable nature. He lives in the desert, where he forms a small gang and gets involved in all kinds of crime, from vehicle hijacking to brutal murders. His friendship with Michael and Franklin is marked by numerous betrayals and violent acts. Trevor is a highly skilled combatant in both armed and unarmed combat. His madness makes him a true killing machine, and he excels in using heavy weapons like rifles and explosives. Additionally, in GTA 5, Trevor has the ability to enter a rage state, where his resistance and attack power increase dramatically. In GTA 5, Trevor plays a major role in some of the game's most brutal scenes, like massacres of rival factions, intense chases, and confrontations with the police. His lack of morality and obsession with destruction make him one of the most violent characters in the franchise. Dutch van der Linde, Red Dead Redemption 2. In Red Dead Redemption 2, Dutch van der Linde is the leader of a gang of outlaws, and his actions are always accompanied by violence and betrayal. He may seem charismatic, but his distorted view of the world leads him to commit extremely violent acts. Dutch starts as a charismatic leader trying to create a utopia where he and his companions could live without government oppression. But as the story progresses, it becomes clear that his ideas are more rooted in a sick ego than in a genuine desire for freedom. His gang, made up of Arthur Morgan and John Marston, gets involved in various violent confrontations, with Dutch leading the carnage. Dutch is astute and skilled in planning heists, but what makes him dangerous is his unpredictable nature. He uses his influence to manipulate those around him, pushing them to commit violent acts in the name of the cause. His violence is not just physical but also psychological, as he destroys the morale of his gang by trying to justify his own selfish actions. The character has a history of massacres and violent robberies. In his quest for the big score, he does not hesitate to attack entire villages, massacre families, or sacrifice members of his own gang if necessary. His ability to involve others in his distorted view of violence puts him in an extremely dangerous position. Vaz Montenegro, Far Cry 3. Finally, we have Vaz Montenegro from Far Cry 3, a character whose insanity is almost a character in itself. He stands out for the way he manipulates his enemies' minds, but also for the brutality with which he executes his acts. Vaz is the leader of a group of pirates and mercenaries who terrorize a tropical island, kidnapping and killing without mercy. He has a psychotic personality, often philosophical and disturbing, and his violence is almost always unpredictable. His life story is marked by psychological trauma, which transformed him into a psychopath. Vaz is a master of stealth combat, capable of ambushing his enemies and delivering quick, silent kills. He is also extremely skilled in psychological manipulation, which makes him even more dangerous. His philosophical speeches about madness and violence show the depth of his twisted mind. Vaz is responsible for many of the violent acts throughout Far Cry 3, including the brutal murder of key characters and the execution of several civilians. His leadership style, based on fear and death, leaves a trail of destruction wherever he goes. These are just a few of the many characters who have made their mark in the world of video games through violence. Until next time, and don't forget to like, share, and comment on which of these characters you think is the most violent.